Welcome to the H90 tutorial. My name is Joe with Eventide. In this video, we're going to explore the pedal's connectivity, layout, and programmability. This is meant to be more of a comprehensive video manual, not so much a pedal demo or a quick start guide. So, if there's a topic you're most interested in, check out the table of contents in the description to navigate directly to it. Let's get started by discussing the back panel. On the back of the H90, there are 4 inputs and 4 outputs. They can be configured in system settings for instrument or line level operation. Instrument level works best for guitars, basses, pedals, or anything with high impedance signals. Line level works best with things like keyboards, synths, audio interfaces, and DJ mixers. We can make these adjustments in the system menu under I/O. The LEDs on the left side light up when any connector's operating level is configured to line level. On the right side of the back panel, there are 2 EXP inputs, and each can be configured in system settings for an expression pedal or auxiliary switches with up to 3 buttons. The inputs can also accept control voltages from 0 to 5 volts. Parameters can be mapped to these EXP options in various places like global pedal control, the MIDI transmit menu, and in the parameters edit menu of each program. The USB-C port serves to connect to a computer, so we may use the H90 control application. It allows us to curate our user lists, manage our programs and presets, and update firmware. The USB-C port can also be used for MIDI control from a MIDI host device. Finally, we have the power input. To turn on the pedal, connect the supplied 12-volt 1-amp adapter to this input. There is no on-off switch. The adapter has a 2.5mm center positive connector. Now that we've covered the back panel, let's discuss H90's workflow in the context of a guitar rig. Begin by plugging the guitar to in 1. From out 1, plug straight into the amp. By default, the connections on the H90 are set to instrument level, so no adjustments are needed. If we wish to output the signal in stereo, connect the cable from out 2 to another amp. The pedal will automatically adjust the algorithms to function in stereo. These are the 2 most basic ways to connect the H90 and a good starting point to discuss signal flow. Of course, the same principles work when connecting our favorite cab sims, provided we program them with the correct mono or stereo signal flows. But signal from the H90 should come from out 1 for mono and outs 1 and 2 for stereo. To learn about topics like using inserts or connecting to an amp's effects loop, feel free to skip ahead. For now, let's learn how to navigate the front panel to explore sounds. The H90's effects are organized under this hierarchy. There is a master user program list called the playlist, which consists of up to 99 programs. Each program is made up of 2 algorithms, with one in slot A and the other in slot B. The algorithm in each slot features a preset list, and we can choose a preset per algorithm. For simplicity, I'll refer to these as preset A and preset B. As we'll learn later, these algorithms can be routed in series or parallel in 2 global routing modes, insert mode or dual mode. Because insert mode is the default setting, most of our discussion will be in this context. Whenever we power on the H90, the playlist is the active set of available programs we can search through and control in the 3 main play modes: Select, Bank, and Perform. To work with a different playlist, enter System Settings by simultaneously pressing and holding the programs and routing buttons for a few seconds. Using the Select knob, highlight Global and press to enter. The first heading in this menu is Playlist. By turning the quick knob below the display, we can browse the available user program lists. The H90 ships with 4 user lists, but we can create our own using the H90 control software. Here, I have lists for sounds I use in the studio, my main set list, and sounds on the new album I'm working on. Though the H90 can store many lists, only one can be designated as the playlist. Once we've made our selection, exit System Settings by pressing Perform. Aside from using the H90 control app, this is the only way to change playlists. so we should organize our programs accordingly. Something to keep in mind: the H90 has other factory lists found in Programs mode, where we can go to browse effect programs in different categories. Under the List heading, we can find collections of ambient, bass, H9 Max, and lead programs. Since these are ROM programs, they do not appear in the global system settings and cannot be designated as the playlist. They also cannot be deleted. The benefit here is you never have to factory reset the H90 to find the sounds the pedal ships with. Furthermore, we can copy these lists as well as the programs within them to our own user lists. Only then can they be designated as the playlist. Now that we've learned to select the playlist, we're ready to work with programs. When powered on, the H90 will always boot up in the last play mode we were using. Press the Select knob to enter Select mode, where we can search for programs along the playlist. The ring around the knob will illuminate to indicate it is active. In this mode, we can search for programs on the playlist in one of two ways: by pressing the up and down foot switches, or by turning the Select knob. At the top of the display, we see the name of the program, its position in the playlist, and the names of the algorithms that comprise the program right below it. Here, for example, we have the Awaken program. The polyphony algorithm is on A and the Tricerachorus algorithm on B. The graphic on the top right of the screen shows us the routing configuration for the program. An arrow indicates A is routed in series with B, while two vertical lines indicate A runs in parallel with B, as we can see in the next program called Paradise Clean. While searching through programs, notice the bottom portion of the screen gives us a preview of which presets are assigned to the algorithms. Once we land on a program we want, press Select to load it. Otherwise, the search will time out after 5 seconds and remain on the currently loaded program. The preset preview will disappear and revert to the quick knob mappings. Searching with foot switches is straightforward. In Select mode, foot switch B increments the program number while foot switch A decrements it. The arrows above each switch remind us of the searching direction. The active foot switch loads a program and toggles its active or bypass state. Notice how both the green LED button and the name of the program on the display turn on and off, indicating the pedal's active state. If we search away from the current program, the green LED button will blink along with the number on the display, indicating this program has not been loaded yet. It will remain in this state until we press the active foot switch. Notice that when searching with foot switches, the search does not time out like it does when searching with the Select knob. It maintains the program on deck until we press active. Here's a tip. Should we want to exit search mode after pressing the up and down foot switches, one solution is to make our way back to the currently loaded program. The quickest way to exit, however, is to press Perform and then Select. This will go back to the currently loaded program. Above each foot switch, we have LED buttons. In Select mode, the P LED button serves to activate or bypass the loaded program, just like the foot switch. They differ in that only the foot switch can load a preset. For example, if I queue up a new program, pressing the P LED button will simply toggle the active state of the currently loaded program, not switch to the new position. Apart from changing the bypass state, it cancels the search. Pressing the A LED button shows us the preset name of the algorithm in slot A, likewise for B. Notice the algorithm name is underlined depending on which button we press. The preset name is also displayed on the bottom. After 2 seconds, the bottom of the display will revert to the quick knob mappings. Once we select either A or B, a consecutive press will change the active state of that preset. When the preset name is grayed out, that indicates the algorithm is bypassed. When in Select mode, if we hold down the Select knob, we enter Bank mode. Here we can navigate the playlist and banks of 3 programs. Since user lists can have up to 99 programs, it is possible to have a total of 33 banks. Pressing a foot switch automatically loads a program. The LED button above the foot switch, as well as the highlighted name on the screen, indicates the active program. Pressing the foot switch again bypasses it, and we'll see the LED button turn off and the name of the program get grayed out. Whenever a program is first activated, the full name will be displayed on the bottom along with its routing. After 2 seconds, the display reverts to the quick knob mappings. To move to the next bank, press and hold the B or up foot switch. To go down a bank, press and hold the A or down foot switch. If we press and hold the P foot switch, it always takes the search back to the first bank without loading anything. In bank mode, pushing the LED buttons allows us to see the name and signal flow of the programs in the display. After 5 seconds, the display will revert to the loaded program. Or, within that time, we can activate with Select. A lit LED lets us know which program is active in bank mode. We can also search through banks by turning the Select knob in any direction. Notice how the bank numbers change as we scroll past the 3 available programs on the screen. Press the Select knob to activate the currently highlighted program. If we navigate away from the active program, the background cursor will blink, indicating that program is not yet loaded. If we do not load this program, after 5 seconds, the display will revert to the active program, even if it's in another bank. The only time the display does not revert to the active program is when we're executing bank search commands with the foot switches or auxiliary switches. Speaking of aux switches, it is possible to map bank search commands to aux foot switches for quicker searching. For example, instead of changing banks by pressing and holding foot switches on the pedal, we could map the commands for bank up and bank down to an external 3-button aux switch. Much quicker, right? Or we could map a switch to increment and load, or decrement and load automatically. We'll discuss how to program this later in the video. One thing to note, bank names can only be customized in the H90 Control app. Finally, to exit bank mode, press and hold the Select knob. In Perform mode, we can control the loaded program with up to 6 configurable switches. Consecutive presses of the Perform knob toggles between 2 pages of 3 assignments. The tiny squares on the right of the display indicate which page of assignments we're working with. We can also turn the Select knob to navigate between pages. In addition, on the top right of the Perform mode display, we see a bar with the initials HKP, which stands for Program HotKnob. A HotKnob is an expression controller. Think of it as a hand-controlled expression pedal in knob form. We can assign 1 or more parameters for real-time simultaneous control. As we turn the Perform knob, the number shows us the expression value, as the highlighted portion shows us where we are in the range of expression. I discuss HotKnobs more in depth in the Parameters menu section later in this video. The Perform mode assignments appear in blocks in the middle of the screen. The left block controls the overall program, P, the middle controls preset A, and the rightmost block controls preset B. Each assignment corresponds to the LED button and foot switch below it. For example, in the first page of assignments of the Clean Ambient program, P is assigned to control tap tempo, A is assigned to momentarily engage the repeat function of preset A, and B is mapped to bypass or activate preset B. Toggling over to page 2, each foot switch is assigned to a hot switch. When engaged, a hot switch serves to instantaneously change 1 or more parameters to another set of values. Disengage a hot switch, and the same parameters return to their previous settings. We can program up to 3 hot switches on the H90, 1 for each foot switch. Keep in mind that although hot switches are found in Perform mode, they can only be programmed in the Parameters menu, which I'll cover later. To assign a performance parameter to a foot switch, let's make sure we're in Perform mode and choose a page of assignments to work on. I'll stick with the first page for now. Press the P, A, or B LED buttons to cycle through the available performance parameters. In this program, the P block has 7 options. An assignment is made when the option is displayed. No further action is required. To keep things simple, I'll assign the foot switches to toggle the active states for the program and both presets. To reiterate, P bypasses the program, A bypasses preset A, and B bypasses preset B. When a foot switch is pressed, not only do the LEDs turn on or off to indicate state, but the block will either say active or bypass. When P is bypassed, the same thing happens, but the name of the program is also grayed out. Among the options are momentary states, denoted by an M in parentheses. Here, for example, the program is active as long as we keep the button pressed. Upon releasing it, the program bypasses. Other options include a hot switch, or the performance functions of a particular algorithm. In this case, we can assign the repeat function of the delay in both momentary or latching states, denoted by M or L respectively. Latching just means a foot switch press will engage the repeat function, while another press will turn it off. Notice how the display and the LED button light up according to whether it's engaged or off. Color plays a role in these assignments. A white LED indicates active states, or even insert active states. An aqua color indicates a hot switch, while any other color like blue, red, or green indicates a performance function following the traditional H9 color categories, where green is for modulation, blue is for delays, and red is for pitch shifting effects. In this example, the repeat function is blue because we're controlling a delay. If I were to choose a program with a pitch shifting algorithm, its flex performance switch would appear red. Nevertheless, it is good practice to use the first page of assignments for common functions like activate or bypass, or tap tempo. This Paradise Clean program is a great example. The second page could be more for creative functions like hot switches, or delay and reverb performance switches such as repeat or freeze. Regardless, Perform mode gives us the freedom to program foot switches for a wider range of control from the front panel. In any case, when making assignments, the H90 will automatically show us the available performance parameters we can map to a foot switch based on the program or algorithm in that block. Because of this, it is not possible to assign preset B parameters to the P or A foot switches and vice versa. For example, bouquet delay is an algorithm that has options for pitch jump and self-oscillation. Because it resides in the preset B slot, we can't assign these functions to the P or A foot switches. The alternative is assigning pitch jump to the switch on page 1 and the self-oscillation on page 2. Alternatively, we can map performance functions like these side by side on external auxiliary switches. Although Perform mode offers 6 onboard programmable foot switches, it's also possible to assign performance parameters to external auxiliary switches or map them to controller change numbers for MIDI control. To accomplish this, in Perform mode, press and hold the P, A, or B LED buttons until the performance parameter mapping screen appears. Depending on what the current performance parameter block was assigned to, that option will already be selected under the parameter heading. Nonetheless, with the first quick knob, we can scroll to a different parameter that corresponds with the preset in the slot we selected if we wish. For example, I can switch to the P parameters. Under Control Source, we can assign it to an external controller like an auxiliary switch or a controller change number for MIDI control. Something to note, it is possible to map performance parameters to external controllers that aren't necessarily mapped to the 6 programmable foot switches in Perform mode. In fact, this allows us to extend the range of control beyond the front panel of the H90 if we need it. After assignments have been made, press Perform to exit the performance parameter mapping menu. As a precaution, the last thing to be aware of is that since performance parameter mappings get stored on a program basis, always double-check that an external controller is not mapped to the same parameter in the global pedal control menu to avoid erratic behavior with double mappings. The H90 has powerful foot switch programmability, and we can extend the range of control on a program basis using performance parameter mapping in Perform mode. If we prefer to have performance parameters assigned to the same external controllers for all programs, we can map these in Global Pedal Control. To access this, press and hold Programs and Routing until we enter the System menu. In the first option, Global, navigate to the third page titled Global Pedal Control. Under the Parameter category, we can find many of the same options found in the Performance Parameters mapping menu, like Tap Tempo, HotSwitches, and Active and Bypass controls for programs, presets, and inserts. But there are many more useful controls for program searching, bank searching, and accessing different play modes. For example, use a 3-button aux switch to increment, decrement, and load programs. We can even map expression pedals to things like HotKnobs, HotKnobs, and input and output gains for programs and presets. A common parameter to program globally is an expression pedal for controlling the program input signals for swells. Nonetheless, depending on the parameter we want to control, the H90 will show us the available control source options, as some can only be mapped to auxiliary switches, while others can be mapped to expression pedals and aux switches alike. The key thing to understand is that anything that is mapped here will be the same for all programs. Recall that in Perform mode, we have 6 configurable Footswitches for control spread across 2 pages. The Perform options found in Global Pedal Control correspond to these same Perform mode parameters. By assigning aux switches to these commands, it's possible to engage the performance parameters without even going into Perform mode. To exit Global Pedal Control, we can either go back to the System menu or press Perform to go back to the mode from which we entered. Whenever we're in Select, Bank, or Perform modes, we see the names of parameters that are mapped to the 3 quick knobs just below the display. They give us instant access to crucial parameters within the program, and it's possible to make our own assignments. Pressing any quick knob will show the current parameter values for 2 seconds. A consecutive press in this view will toggle between 2 pages of 3 assignments. Turning the quick knobs will adjust values. We can assign any parameter across the entire program to any quick knob. To make an assignment, press and hold a quick knob until the main list of assignable parameters pops up. The highlighted option indicates the current mapping. Turn the knob to search through available options, which are categorized by P for Program, A for Preset A, and B for Preset B. A quick press will toggle between both pages. The indicator on the top left of the screen shows which page of assignments we're working with. In fact, once we're in this view, the Select knob can also be used to toggle pages. When we land on an option we want, press and hold the quick knob until the screen goes back to the main display and the name of our parameter is in place. A quick way to program multiple assignments when we're in list mode is to make all your adjustments and just press Perform to exit. Always remember to save changes before navigating away from the program. The Program's Edit menu allows us to search for and audition programs by using either the Select or Perform knobs. In this mode, programs automatically load when you land on one. We can filter the set of discoverable programs using 3 categories found on the bottom portion of the screen. Each corresponds to a quick knob below the display. The first category, called List, narrows the selection of available programs to those on a particular factory or user list. Factory lists group programs by style like ambient, bass, lead, or even categories like H9 Max. We can also browse our custom user lists, including the playlist. On the other hand, by choosing All, we're searching through all the programs in the pedal's memory. Keep in mind, it is possible to have the same program live on numerous lists. The top right corner of the screen indicates the list and position of the current program. Editing a program on one list does not change the version on the other lists. The Type category narrows the list of programs to only those that contain a particular effect type. As of this video, there are 10 effect types. Say for instance, we wanted to see all the programs in the entire pedal with delays in them. Set the list category to All and set the type to Delay. Make sure the algorithm type is set to all as well. Now, turning select will only show us programs with delays in them. The algorithm category allows us to refine the searchable list by only showing us programs that contain the algorithm we specify. As of this video, there are 63 algorithms and 2 utility algorithms for mute and through. The through utility is useful to help us work on one algorithm in a program at a time. We can use it as a placeholder or as an isolation tool. Its only controls are input and output gain and tails on or off. Narrowing the list category down to the H9 Max factory list shows a good example of how useful it is. Because the H9 Max is only capable of using one algorithm, the H90 represents this as a program consisting of an H9 Max algorithm and a through algorithm. As a result, this is the only configuration we'll find when navigating the H9 Max factory list. At any point, we can swap its position in the signal chain and/or replace the through utility with another algorithm. While working in Programs mode, the P LED button serves to bypass and activate the program, while the A and B LED buttons control the preset active states. Not only will the LED buttons turn on or off depending on the state, but so will the names on the screen. The Footswitches don't serve a purpose other than to exit Programs mode and return to the previous play mode. Something to note. Say for instance, we move to Program 5 on the playlist and enter the Programs menu. If we demo a program here and exit this menu, it will load in the position on the playlist from where we entered. We have the option to save it here or risk losing it if we move away. Anytime we see an asterisk appear next to the program name, this indicates the program has been modified. The asterisk will appear for any number of reasons, like deliberately editing parameters, or moving the quick knobs, adjusting the tempo, or using external controllers to manipulate parameters. Regardless, the asterisk serves to indicate the original program settings have changed, and we should save the program if we want to store the adjustments. To save a program quickly, press and hold the Programs button until the number flashes. Press Perform twice. This overwrites the current position. If instead we wish to save to a new position, press and hold the Programs button until the program number flashes. Turn the Select knob to indicate a new position. This defaults to positions on the currently active playlist, but by turning the third quick knob, we can store to a different user list altogether. Just keep in mind that programs can only be saved to user lists, not to factory lists. Once we've decided on the list and position, press Perform to move on to editing the name. If we don't wish to make any changes, simply press Perform again to finalize. Otherwise, we can use the quick knobs to edit the title by positioning the cursor with quick knob 1. We can choose alphanumeric characters with quick knob 2, and delete characters pressing quick knob 3. Once we've made our changes, press Perform to store them. Otherwise, if we need to go back to change the position again, or want to start over on the title, press Select once. Pressing twice will cancel the saving process. A frequently asked question is, what happens if I accidentally overwrite one of the factory programs by accident? The default H90 playlist is User 1. This is just a copy of the factory list found in the Programs menu called Factory 1. Should we ever accidentally overwrite something on User 1, we can go into the Factory 1 list, search for the program name and number we overwrote, and resave a copy of the program back into the same position on User 1. Press and hold Programs to enter Save mode. Choose the list you want to save to, and find the correct position. Press Perform twice to save from Factory 1 to User 1. Up to this point, we've talked about working with programs. I discuss saving individual presets later in the video. The routing button is useful to get a comprehensive view of a program's signal flow from left to right. The diagram we see is dependent on the global routing setting in the system menu, which can be either insert mode or dual mode. Because the default is insert mode, we'll continue working in this context. I will explain dual mode and how to change the global routing settings later in the video. In insert mode, we see a single-line signal flow diagram. The icons inside of rectangles represent each algorithm of the program, and the diagram shows where they are positioned in the signal path. By turning the first quick knob, we can designate whether the program's presets will run in series or parallel. These are the same icons found on the top right of the Select Mode screen, where we can see the names of the algorithms. As I mentioned previously, an arrow in between icons means the algorithms are routed in series, while two vertical lines indicate they are running in parallel. In the routing menu, pressing the first quick knob swaps the preset order. This is a helpful tool when building programs. Want to try the modulation before the drive and vice versa? Just press the routing button and swap. Any expression mappings we've made follow the presets to the new position. The swap function works in both insert and dual global routing modes. When we're in the routing menu, the P LED button changes the active state of the program. LED buttons A and B change the active state of preset A and preset B, respectively. In addition, pressing quick knob 2 changes the active state of insert 1, while pressing quick knob 3 changes the active state of insert 2. Pressing any of the foot switches exits the routing menu and returns to the previous mode. In insert routing mode, the H90 features two mono insert loops. The second and third quick knobs in the routing menu serve to control insert 1 and insert 2 respectively. To activate them, turn each quick knob to the right until the numbered icon appears on the signal path. As we keep turning, we cycle through the available positions. When presets are routed in series, we can achieve placement such as pre-A, in parallel to both A and B, between A and B, and post-B. When presets are routed in parallel, options like placing a loop in series before both parallel presets is possible, or pre-A, pre-B, parallel to both, post-A, post-B, or placed in series after both parallel presets. As you can see in either routing, it is possible to place insert 2 before insert 1 in the signal path. However, whenever both inserts occupy the same position, insert 1 is automatically routed into insert 2, so we should plan our connections accordingly. In the routing menu, it is possible to create a stereo insert loop. As we turn the third quick knob, the last option on insert 2 is stereo insert. This groups both mono inserts for stereo functionality. Use the second quick knob to place the insert in any of the available positions. Now that we've covered how to create mono and stereo inserts, let's learn to make connections in the context of our guitar rig example. To connect an external pedal or mono device to insert 1, send signal out of the H90 on out 3 to the input of the device. From the output of the device, return signal to H90 on in 3. Similarly, to connect to insert 2, send signal from out 4 to the input of another mono device. From the output of that device, return the signal using in 4. If we have opted for a stereo insert, outs 3 and 4 from the H90 should be connected to the external device's left and right inputs, respectively. This device's left and right outputs should be returned to the H90 using inputs 3 and 4. It's best practice to make our connections before activating an insert to prevent any loud pops during connections. Similarly, if we wish to switch out a device, make sure to mute the insert before doing so. To mute an insert, press quick knob 2 and quick knob 3 to mute insert 1 and insert 2 respectively. The insert icon will darken to indicate its bypass state. A consecutive press activates the insert once again. It is important to make sure the outboard device's operating level matches the H90's. Doing so ensures the best signal possible from one device to another and reduces the chance of noise. By default, the H90's I/O is set to function at instrument level, which is great for effects pedals. If we're trying to interface with something like studio rack mount processors or an amp's effects loop, it may be necessary to switch the H90's I/O to line level in the system menu. Always verify the operating level of the outboard device to make sure. To configure the operating level of inputs and outputs, enter System Settings by pressing and holding the Programs and Routing buttons simultaneously. Turn the Select knob until I/O is highlighted and push the knob to select it. The bottom of the screen will show the names of rear panel connectors. If we turn the Select knob, we can advance through pages of options. The screen title and cursor below it indicate which page we're on. We can use the Programs and Routing buttons to navigate these pages as well. To change the operating level between instrument or line level of a visible connector, turn the corresponding quick knob below the display. When any connectors are set to line level, the LEDs on the left side of the back panel will light up. The last page in this menu highlights the connected I/O in the diagram. If we want to go back to the main System Settings menu, press the Select knob. To exit System Settings, press the Perform knob to exit to the previous mode. After we have connected external devices to H90's inserts, it's always good practice to test the loop for level discrepancies by bypassing and activating the insert as signal runs through the pedal. Pressing an insert's corresponding quick knob changes the active state. Should we perceive a noise or a level difference, it's best to adjust the external device's input and output levels. If the device doesn't provide these controls, we can use the insert parameters on the H90. In the Routing menu, turn the Select or Perform knobs to access two pages of insert controls. On the screen, the name on the top left and the squares on the top right show us which page we're on. The signal flow diagram also highlights the corresponding insert. The parameters on the bottom of the screen can be adjusted to ensure we're getting the best signal possible in and out of the H90 on that loop. Send and return levels can be used to level out any discrepancies that may be perceived when activating or bypassing inserts. Mix adjusts the balance between the H90 signal and the loop effect at the insert point. Specifically, it controls the return mix of the insert. When set to 0%, the insert can act as a splitter. By default, mix is set at 100%, so gain staging any connected devices is important. Tails on allows a delay or reverb in the loop to continue trailing out when the insert is bypassed from the H90. Latency and polarity serve to correct phasing issues, mainly when digital effects are on an insert and the insert's mix setting is between 0 and 100%. This is a case where we are mixing the H90's dry signal with some dry signal going through the insert effect. It's possible the latency from an external pedal introduces comb filtering. The latency parameter on the H90 allows us to align both signals by introducing a sample delay on the H90 signal path before it gets mixed with the loop signal, ensuring they don't cancel each other out. Latency should only be adjusted when inserting digital devices, as analog devices do not have appreciable latency. Setting this properly will prevent comb filtering for the inserted effect. If the device's documentation does not state its latency specifications, there is a method to set it manually. In this example, I'm working with a black hole pedal on a stereo insert at the end of a serial path. To set the latency for an insert, first, bypass the other presets in the signal chain so we can focus on the audio running through the insert. Then, invert the polarity of the insert. Next, set the mix to 50% so that we are getting equal parts insert signal and H90 signal flow. Adjust the mix knob of the external effect so we only hear the dry signal. Bypassing also works, but only if the pedal does not use a true bypass. For this black hole, I'm using the DSP bypass mode. Adjust latency from 0 samples until the signal is silent or as quiet as possible. Disengage the polarity invert. Now our insert is time-aligned with the H90 signal flow for optimal audio. The input LEDs on the H90 are tuned to dB full scale. The green LED will light when signal is present. We must avoid seeing a red LED as this indicates a clipping signal. There are various things we can adjust to ensure we're maintaining a healthy level. First, make sure the operating level of each input and output matches the impedance of the connected device. A mismatch can introduce noise in the signal and create a volume jump when the pedal is bypassed. Find out if the operating level of a connected device functions at instrument level or line level, and adjust the H90's I/O in the system menu accordingly. Next, experiment running the H90 in relay or DSP bypass mode. If we notice a level difference when we bypass the pedal in relay mode, it may indicate a mismatch of impedance. Switching to DSP bypass mode introduces buffers in the signal path that can help remediate these problems, as well as improve the top end of our signal, especially after long cable runs. Next, we can adjust the input and output gain of each program and individual preset in the parameters menu. With a range of -60 dB and +12 dB of gain, we can make sure the signal going in and coming out of a program is suitable for our needs. Similar controls for inserts can be found in the second and third pages of the routing menu. Monitor the LEDs on input and outputs 3 and 4 to make sure the levels on the inserts are strong, but not clipping. Each program on the H90 is comprised of 2 algorithms. For each algorithm, we can choose a preset from a wide range of factory and user options. Press the Presets button to enter the Preset Edit menu. Consecutive presses switch between algorithm A and B. Whichever algorithm is highlighted will show its current preset name right below it. With Select or Program, we can scroll through a list of presets in numerical, then alphabetical order. The preset automatically loads when we land on it. On the bottom of the screen, we find similar search filters as in the Programs menu. These filter our preset search by narrowing down the selection of available presets by factory, user, or both, then by effect type, then by specific algorithm. By using all for each category, we are searching through the entire list of presets in the pedal's memory. Say, for example, we only want to search H90's factory reverb presets. We could set the search type to factory using the first quick knob, then we could set type to reverb with the second quick knob. With these filters in place, we'll only discover reverb presets from Eventide's factory list of presets. Now, say we land on a preset we like, but we want to discover other options on that algorithm. Using the algorithm filter, we can set it to the name of the highlighted algorithm up top. Now, turning Select or Perform will show us only the black hole presets that come from factory. Later, we can refocus the search to black hole user presets if there are any, or switch to all to search both user and factory black hole presets. At any point in the process, pressing the Presets button while it's lit will select the other preset slot. Notice each preset has its own set of filters. While in the Presets Edit menu, the P LED button serves to activate or bypass the program. The A and B LED buttons serve to select the corresponding preset slot. If the preset is already highlighted, we can change its active state. Pressing any foot switch exits the presets menu back into the previous mode. At this point, if we've changed any of the program's presets, it may be a good idea to save the program before navigating elsewhere. On the other hand, if we desire to store a user preset for an algorithm to the pedal's memory, this is accomplished holding down the Presets button. To save a preset, press and hold the Presets button to enter Preset Save mode. Here we can rename or save the selected preset. With the first quick knob, we can move the cursor with a turn, while pressing the quick knob moves the cursor to the right. We can change the character by turning the Perform knob or Quick Knob 2. Pressing Quick Knob 2 switches the character set between lowercase, uppercase, numbers, and symbols. We can delete a character by pressing Quick Knob 3. If we wish to cancel the process, press the Select knob. Otherwise, press the Perform knob to save your preset to the preset library, which can be searched through in the Presets Edit menu. If a preset already exists with the name you've chosen, you will be prompted to overwrite the existing preset, or choose a new name if it's a factory preset. Here's a tip. Before initiating the save process, I recommend entering presets mode and selecting the correct preset slot A or B. This way we'll ensure we're saving the correct preset. To edit preset and program level settings, press the Parameters button. Consecutive presses shift the parameters view between P, the program, A, preset A, and B, preset B. The letter on the top left of the screen indicates the current view. Next to P, we see the program name. Next to A or B, we'll see the algorithm name with the preset name right under it. In this mode, it's possible to use the P, A, or B LED buttons to go directly to that view. After making our selection, a consecutive press will bypass that slot. The LED will turn off and the algorithm name will darken as bypass indicators. The bottom of the screen shows the available parameters in each view, and they can be controlled with the quick knobs below the display. In this mode, the Select knob serves to navigate through pages of parameters. As you can see in this example, the H3000 micro-pitch preset has 5 pages of 3 parameters each. The number of available parameters varies by algorithm. On the other hand, program-level controls stay consistent with parameters for mix, input gain, output gain, and settings for tails and kill dry. In Parameters Edit mode, the Perform knob functions as a hot knob, an expression controller that can manipulate one or more parameters at a time. Each view in this mode, P, A, or B, has its own hot knob, and it is denoted on the top right of the screen by an HK, followed by a letter and the number. The letter tells us which set of parameters we're working with, while the number shows us the expression value. As we turn the hot knob, notice the highlighted portion shows us where we are in the range of expression. In addition, not only can all parameters be mapped to hot knobs, but they can be mapped to expression pedals, auxiliary switches, and can even be assigned CC numbers for MIDI control. Whenever we see a diamond icon next to a parameter, it indicates that it's mapped to a hot knob or an external controller. Other than in the system settings, it's in Parameters Edit mode where the bulk of our custom parameter mappings will be configured. To assign a parameter to a controller, enter the Parameters Editing menu and navigate to the parameter we want to map. Press and hold the quick knob that corresponds to that parameter. After a moment, we enter the Parameter Mapping menu. The letter on the top left reminds us of which set of parameters we're working with from P, A, or B. With the second quick knob, we can assign it to any control source like a hot knob, a MIDI CC number, an expression pedal, or one of 6 aux switches. When mapping a parameter to MIDI CC, we must assign it to a controller change number, preferably one that hasn't been assigned to another function. There's also a learn option, which automatically senses the control source we're trying to map. For example, if I want to quickly map the diffusion parameter to an expression pedal hooked up to the back of the H90, I can choose the control source as learn and move the pedal back and forth. Notice H90 immediately detects expression pedal number 1 and makes the assignment. Once we've mapped a control source to a parameter, navigate over to the next page with the Select knob to program the control range. The first quick knob sets the minimum point, while the second quick knob sets the maximum point. The name of the parameter will be visible along with the corresponding value of the endpoint we're trying to set. Once we're finished, press Perform to exit this menu. Here's a tip. Instead of exiting the menu to choose another parameter to map, from the Parameters Mapping menu, we can press any of the P, A, or B LED buttons to go directly to each category. With the first quick knob, we can scroll through the list of assignable parameters in the corresponding category. There's no need to hunt down a parameter and enter with a quick knob. Something to note: program-level parameters can only be mapped to HotKnob P. All parameters found in preset A can be mapped to either HotKnob A or P. Preset B parameters can be mapped to HotKnob B or P. It is possible to assign HotKnobs A and B to HotKnob P. There may be an instance where we want individual expression control of each preset for part of a song, but then want simultaneous control of both presets for another part. The H90 makes that possible. In any of the play modes, select, bank, or perform, it is possible to assign the hot knobs we've mapped to the quick knobs on these screens. This is useful because in all of these modes, the perform knob will always control HotKnob P. So, to have quick access to HotKnobs A and B without going into the parameters menu, we can assign them to the quick knobs. To make these assignments, make sure we're in any play mode, select, bank, or perform. Press and hold the quick knob until the assignment menu pops up. Turn the quick knob to select whichever hot knob we prefer. In this example, I'll assign 2 at a time. I'll assign hot knob A to quick knob 2 and hot knob B to quick knob 3. A reminder, there's a second page of quick knob assignments if we prefer not to make these top level. Once our selections are in place, press perform to exit. Now, hot knob A is controllable via quick knob 2 and hot knob B is controllable via quick knob 3. Of course, hot knob P is controllable with the perform knob. In addition to using the perform hot knob or quick knobs to control assignments manually, we can assign hot knobs P, A, and B to an external controller like an expression pedal or assign a CC number for MIDI control. The fastest way to assign any of the P, A, or B hot knobs to an external controller is to press the parameters button, select the category using the corresponding LED button, and press and hold the perform knob. Upon entering the parameter mapping menu, the control source parameter will already be set to the hot knob of that category. In any case, hot knob is the last option in the list. All we need to do is assign it a control source and adjust the expression range on the next page if we need to. Up to this point, we've discussed how to map parameters to onboard hot knobs, how to map parameters directly to external controllers, and we learned how to map those hot knobs to other onboard quick knobs and to external controllers as well. As you can see, the H90 gives us tremendous flexibility of control. When designing programs, I recommend always mapping parameters to hot knob P and then mapping hot knob P to an expression pedal. This way, we don't have to connect an expression pedal to test our mappings. We can just use the onboard perform knob. Perform mode gives us access to 6 programmable Footswitches that allow us to control the loaded program. Among the available options are HotSwitches, which when activated, instantaneously change one or more parameters to another set of values. Disengage that hot switch, and the same parameters return to their previous settings. The H90 offers 3 hot switches that can function in latching or momentary modes. Although only one hot switch may be activated at once, a single hot switch can control parameters across an entire program, including individual presets. This is like having a program within a program. It's important to understand that if we activate a hot switch from another hot switch, it's as if we bypassed the first hot switch and then activated the second one. In other words, we cannot layer the changes of 2 hot switches together. That is, unless we program that into its own hot switch, of course. To program a hot switch, go into the Parameters Editing menu. Press and hold the P LED button to program hot switch 1, or press and hold A to program hot switch 2, or press and hold B to program hot switch 3. Remember, each hot switch is independent of the others, and all 3 can access parameters across the entire program. The screen will indicate which hot switch we're editing. Once inside, we can use the P, A, or B LED buttons to navigate the program-level parameters, as well as those of the two presets. The first letter in the middle of the screen indicates which category we're working with. Use the Select knob to navigate the pages of parameters per category. The bottom of the screen displays the available parameters on each page. Here we have the program-level parameters, or we can switch to preset A parameters or preset B parameters. In most cases, each parameter should reflect it is unmapped. On the other hand, if an assignment has been made, the parameter will shift to the value displayed when the hot switch is activated. To assign a new value to an unmapped parameter, press the quick knob below it. That parameter will immediately be assigned the current value. So now we can turn the quick knob to program a new value. To unmap, press the quick knob once to erase the values. Here's a tip. To audition changes to a hot switch, press Perform to exit the hot switch edit menu. Doing so will return all parameter values to their original position in the same way bypassing a hot switch would. Entering a hot switch edit mode is like activating a hot switch, so we'll hear the effects of our assignments. We can repeat this process until we've achieved the desired effect settings. To create a custom program on the H90, there are a few approaches we can take. First, we can use a factory program as a jumping-off point and make our own changes. Second, we can load programs from the H90 library using filters to narrow down categories. For example, we can search through all programs with delays in them. As we demo different programs, we can customize the ones we like. Or, we can switch to a user list with init programs that feature through utilities on both presets. This is as bare bones as it gets. From here, we can populate presets one at a time and build as we go. From factory, the H90 comes with 3 user lists filled with initialized programs. If we need to create more lists with init programs, we can do so on H90 Control. Whichever method we choose, we can use the techniques we've learned in this tutorial to populate both slots with sounds we need. Experiment with series or parallel routing. Make use of the through and mute utility algorithms. For example, we can populate one slot with the through utility while we work on the other slot. If we're working with a parallel routing, we can use the mute utility on one side to avoid adding a dry signal path as we work on the other side of the split. It's important to understand that whenever we load an algorithm, it automatically loads with a preset. We can then search through its preset list in alphanumerical order. There aren't necessarily any default presets, even though some of them are named after the algorithm. The idea is to choose one as a starting point, make it our own, and store it in H90's preset library. Then we can use them for other H90 programs as well. Thank you for watching this essential overview. Be sure to check out part 2 and 3 of this tutorial for a deeper look into the H90 Harmonizer.